My wife is 35 years old and I am 38. We have two children. One is 8 years old and the other is 5 years old. This is the first marriage for both of us, and to the best of my knowledge, neither of us has ever been unfaithful in any previous relationship. My wife works the night shift at the hospital from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. as a charge nurse overseeing other nurses. On September 6th, I received an unexpected text message that contains troubling information. The message claimed that my wife was involved in an affair with one of her subordinates, a male nurse. It provided specific details about my wife and this male nurse, how they would disappear into an empty room and lock themselves inside for a extended period. Naturally, I was extremely shocked by this revelation. Why it could have been a prank, I had a strong gut feeling that the message came from someone who had been observing the affair for some time and felt compelled to bring it to light. The first thing I did was find out about the other man whose name was mentioned in the text message. He turned out to be a 25-year-old single male nurse who worked under my wife at the hospital. Our ex-wife wasn't very active due to her busy schedule, but we made the most of any opportunity we had. I had become accustomed to this routine ever since we had our children, and I wouldn't have suspected my wife of infidelity if I hadn't received that text message. It then made sense to me why my wife always took extra shift and consistently worked 60 hours 7 days a week. I managed to look through her phone and confirm the affair by reading her text messages. They were in constant communication even during work hours, discussing the available rooms where they could spend time together. The affair had been happening for about 5 months, and when I discovered this, it was incredibly devastating because I had placed my complete trust in her. I've always been the type of person who trusts completely, and I wonder if I could ever be trusting in a relationship again after what happened with my wife. It took 48 hours to gather all the information, confirm the details, and calm my temper. I wanted to approach the situation rationally. I waited for when my wife returned from work and the kids were already off to school. During my lunch break, I came home knowing she was still asleep. I woke her up and immediately confronted her with the name of her co-worker and the information about their encounter in empty hospital rooms, which I learned from the text messages. I bombarded her with questions based on facts and caught her off guard and half asleep. She admitted to everything before she was fully awake. By the time she was fully awake, she tried to backtrack on her admissions, but it was too late because I had recorded everything. She cried and repeatedly expressed her desire to make our marriage work. I love my wife and I want our relationship to work, but I am struggling with the idea of forgiveness. One of the reasons it's hard for me is that if it had been a one-time mistake, I might have been able to see a way forward. However, the text messages and her admissions confirmed that the affair had been going on for 5 months, with them having intimate encounters every day. She claims it was just physical and that the other person doesn't mean more to her than that, especially considering he's a decade younger than her. I am feeling lost about how to proceed here. She admitted that if I hadn't confronted her, she wouldn't have come clean about the affair. It's only about 3 days since I found out about this, and it's still fresh in my mind. I'm not thinking clearly right now, and I am unsure how many people at her workplace were aware of this, but I am certainly not the only one who knew, as someone at her job had informed me. He's a single guy, and she also admitted that their involvement wasn't confined at the hospital. They had extra encounters at his house as well. When she realized I knew everything, she provided quite a bit of details about the affair. She expressed a sense of relief that everything was out in the open, which might be a positive sign that she's not hiding anything else. She even suggested that we seek marriage counseling as a way to salvage our relationship. Now faced with the dilemma of how to coexist with her while we attempt to walk through this, should I ask her to leave? Should I leave myself? If it weren't for the kids, I might consider parting ways, but their presence complicates the situation. I spent last night at a hotel, leaving her to take care of the kids. However, she works 12-hour shift at the hospital. and is scheduled to work for 7 consecutive days during the holidays, which means I will need to be home with the children. If I ask her to leave, I know my mind will be filled with many conflicting thoughts and emotions. I have gathered all the evidence from her text messages and even recorded her confession. Initially, she wanted us to keep this matter just between us until we figured out how to move forward. However, I decided to share the situation with both of our parents. This has left her extremely angry, accusing me of being childish and not considering the well-being of our children, always having to be the responsible one in our relationship. Update: after a heated argument last night, I spent the night in a hotel to clear my head about the whole situation. I called her today and it seems her attitude has shifted. I asked her to be honest about whether she genuinely wanted to work on our marriage. Her response was, "I don't think we can recover from this. I am not in love with you anymore." I pressed further, asking if it was just a physical affair with him, and she admitted that there was indeed emotions involved. In my mind, this signaled that she truly wasn't committed to working things out. So I told her she could find her own apartment and we would separate. I am not a vengeful person. She has made her decision, and that's something she will have to live with. Someday, she might regret it, but I will move forward with my life. It seemed I may have jumped the gun with my earlier update and misunderstood some things during our phone conversation with her. Tonight, we sat down for a productive hour-long conversation about everything. I am not saying I have forgiven her or ever will. I am uncertain at this point. After talking it over, we both concluded that a separation is the best step for now. She planned to move out tomorrow and find an apartment. We have also agreed to share custody of our kids and manage our finances together since we both earn equal amounts. I emphasize that we both need to focus on ourselves and be good parents for our children. I am not even considering the idea of reconciliation for now. It's too early. I may not seem unsure, but I am not ready to settle for divorce either. I want to thank everyone for their kind words and advice. I am not sure what I'm prepared for yet. If you ask me today, I might say I wouldn't take her back. However, in 6, 9, or 12 months from now, I can't predict how I will feel. I do know for sure that the other man is single. Honestly, at this point, I am not trying to dwell on thoughts about her, the other man, or the possibility of reconciliation or divorce. My primary focus is on reconnecting with myself before making any further decision. Reader comments: it might sound strange, but a difficult situation, like an affair, has the power to strip away the deceit in a relationship and enable people to have genuine, honest conversation with each other. Regardless of the path you and your wayward wife choose, try to maintain the level of honesty in your communication. Original poster. That's exactly how it felt. It was like the first truly open and positive conversation we have had in months. I realize it may sound strange, but it truly improved my emotional state. My hope is that at the end of all this, we can at least emerge as friends for the sake of our children. I am truly taking to heart the advice and thoughts of others here. I am not under any illusions that this separation will magically fix everything or change our situation. I realize that there is high likelihood, around 85%, that this may still lead to divorce. During this time apart, I am committed to working on improving my mental and emotional well-being. Whatever she chooses to do is her decision. I am not going into this with the expectation that it will result in reconciliation. However, I am open to seeing where it leads for both of us. Right now, I am not even ready to consider reconciliation with her, even if she were to want it. My plan is to live my life independently. In the end, we will likely come to realize one of two things in my mind. We are either better together or apart. I did take the step of contacting my lawyer to gain some peace of mind. He advised me that the separation agreement we have reached sounds reasonable. However, he suggested that I maintain a journal and keep track of all financial matters, any changes in our kids' schedule, and so on. He maintained that, unfortunately, we live in a no-fault divorce state, so the affair doesn't carry much weight in divorce proceedings. I am preparing myself for the possibility of divorce, whether it happens or not. I don't feel the need to jeopardize her job as I want her to continue earning an income equal to mine in case our marriage does end in divorce. You guys weren't kidding when you described this as a roller coaster ride. It's quite something how, as the initial shock of the deception starts to fade, you gain a clearer perspective on the situation. I am now asking myself, what exactly am I trying to save here? What we once had is gone, and even if we were to reconcile, it could never be the same again. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to constantly monitor, worry, and live in fear. I am going to get everything organized and plan to have a conversation with her after the holidays to divide our finances and begin outlining a plan for divorce. However, I intend to keep this process civil, especially for the sake of the kids. I feel the need to distance myself completely, both financially and emotionally, if I'm going to rebuild a better life. She'd made her choice about the life she wants, and I have to accept that. But I won't just sit around and wait for something that, in my view, has already ended. Today is going to be a tough day for me. We are meeting for lunch with our two boys, age 5 and 8, to explain that mommy and daddy are going to live separately. Keeping my composure won't be easy, but I believe it's essential to present a united front so our sons understand that even though we won't live together, we are still a family. Some family and friends think I'm being too kind to her during all of this, and that she should suffer as I am. But I see it differently. She made her choices, and she will have to deal with the consequences. Letting anger and revenge guide my action won't change anything, and it will only lead to more difficult divorce. I firmly believe her suffering will come when she eventually sees the reality of what she destroyed. Believe me, there's absolutely no consideration for reconciliation for me. The conversation with the kids went quite well. I'm trying to make things as easy as possible for them at this point. I no longer trust her as my wife, but I do believe in the love she has for our children, and I will continue to do so until she proves otherwise. I am genuinely done with the relationship, and she's not causing embarrassment to me or any family at this stage, just to herself. I am honest about why we are separated now. She made her choices, and she must carry the consequences. We have already divided our finances and have separate bank accounts. We sat down and worked out all the expenses related to the kids' schooling, activities, and our credit cards, splitting charges equally. We will file for divorce after Christmas, not because I'm holding on, but because I'm swamped with work, kids, and family this month. I am saddened that something I once believed was so good has come to an end. As I told her in our last conversation, I hope you find the happiness you have been seeking, and in the end, I hope it's worth everything you have lost. I am not angry. I am just profoundly disappointed at this point. I recognize that I am still young, have a great job, and I am a good father, and I will move forward from this. I don't let myself get overwhelmed by emotions because feeling sorry for myself won't change a thing. When I have my boys, I will be there for them, and when I don't, I will live my life to the fullest. Ultimately, as long as I wake up to see the sunrise, I know I will be okay. Reader comment, you have got a strong and healthy mindset, but be ready for unexpected emotions, especially moments of anger. You have a challenging journey ahead, and we will be here to support you. Don't hesitate to check in with us often. I recommend individual counseling, and I suggest doing some nice things for yourself, like getting a weekly massage, buying new clothes, taking up a hobby like kickboxing, or enrolling in a night class. Anything that's just for you. Original poster, I have actually scheduled an appointment for individual counseling this Thursday. I thought it wouldn't hurt to talk to someone about it. I have always been a fitness enthusiast, so I have been dedicating a lot of my free time to that and transforming the house into my home instead of our home. Additionally, I'm considering taking up cooking classes for the times when I don't have the kids. I have always enjoyed cooking, and I believe it will be a useful skill when I'm ready to date again. Thank you for staying to the end of this video. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. Let's get some reaction in the comment section. Thank you and have a wonderful day.